Hello there, and thank you for watching the next video of web penetration testing with Kali Linux. In this video we're going to talk about cross-site scripting or XSS. So cross-site scripting or XSS is basically a type of vulnerability normally on web applications when remote attacker or basically a remote user could inject a code or a script into the web application and basically run that script on the web application. This is basically because the application hasn't been designed properly in terms of checking the parameters and making sure that the parameters that they're being passed on, they do not contain any script. So on DVWA, we could basically demonstrate this functionality by the XSS section. We need to log into the web interface of our DVWA with the standard username and password. And there is basically a simple way to test this by typing that command that you see, a script that you see in the middle of the screen that I have. One thing to note, Chrome basically has a XSS auditor functionality which would block this type of request. So if you want to really test this functionality, you need to use a different browser. I'm using Firefox here. So let's go to Firefox and log in with our username and password. First thing we need to check to make sure DVWA security is set to low, so we just change it to low and set it, and you see that it is set to low now. Now we move to XSS reflected. So you see that here basically the way that application works is just expecting to receive a name, so we just type any name here and click submit. So what it does, it just runs a script to say hello and then your name, whatever name you put in there. So instead of doing that, now because the application doesn't have proper checks on this field, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to type script alert system is infected, call blah 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 blah, and close and slash script. So what I am doing basically, I am just adding this script to run on the application because obviously there is not enough control on this parameter. So if I do that, you see that pop-up would basically come and show that system is infected, call blah blah blah, and that is basically the results of having XSS vulnerability on the application. There is another way of doing it as well. So as you can see, XSS stored, which would pretty much do the same thing. So here we could just add a name and a message. So you could just say test1 and test1 message, right? So if you do that, it's actually adding that to the list. So it's storing the information. So we could literally do the same thing, test XSS, and we could just add a script alert and slash a script again. So if I can type a script, so doing that we would get the same sort of result. So XSS basically is a kind of vulnerability that you could just run a script on an application and get the result that you want. So going back to our slides, so there are other things you could do. You could just make more complicated basically calls on the application. So if we just type a script alert document.cookie, you would receive basically the session cookie, and you will see the session cookie here. And if you want to even go more than that, we could basically just set up a script using a PHP file. So this is something you could do on Metasploit framework if you're familiar with Metasploit framework, but we have different courses for that, which you could obviously refer to that. you could basically create a reverse shell script, PHP script, and upload it to the DVWA application and then call it within the XSS section. So what I am referring to is basically with this upload section, you could just create your PHP script, which is being created by Metasploit, and it would basically work as a reverse shell. So you could just upload it here and then call it with your XSS section. And once you call it, basically you could just create a shell tunnel back to your application and the server and gain control over that server. So you could do a lot of things with XSS script, and applications that they are vulnerable to this vulnerability, they are dealing with a huge risk. So on the next video, we're going to talk about command execution vulnerability. Thank you for watching this video, and I will be with you on the next one.